Okay, let's unpack this. We are starting today not in the boardroom, not in some sterile office environment.
No, not at all. We're at Salmon Creek Beach, California.
Exactly. And the setting is pretty dramatic. You got cold water, heavy waves, and Bush Connor, who's a really experienced surfer, just out enjoying his day.
And then it happens.
Yeah. The wave crests, and through that shimmering water just a few feet away, he sees a shadow.
And not just any shadow.
No. It's the size of a small car. His absolute worst nightmare materializes right in front of him. A massive 14-foot great white shark.
And that moment, as it's described in the book, is the textbook definition of an emotional hijacking. The primal brain just completely takes over.
Absolutely. The shock is instantaneous. It's paralyzing. His heart rate, it just rockets from 60 to 180 beats per minute.
Wow.
He's gasping for air, hyper-focused on one single thing, the predator's eye.
Yeah.
And his rational brain, you know, the part that knows how to paddle or how to defend himself.
It's just offline, completely locked out.
Gone. Fear has just flooded his system with adrenaline and cortisol. He's physically and mentally frozen in place.
And that response, that's pure neurobiology. It's not a choice. Emotional signals, they travel from our senses directly to the limbic system.
The amygdala, right?
The amygdala, exactly, before they even get a chance to reach the prefrontal cortex, which is the seat of reason and logic.
So the emotion gets a head start.
A huge head start, and when the threat is big enough, the amygdala just slams the panic button, bypassing rational thought entirely. So Butch didn't escape at first because that emotional signal was simply too fast, too overwhelming for his reason to catch up.
But, and this is the key, this is where the story pivots. And it's why it's the perfect way to start our deep dive into Travis Bradberry's Emotional Intelligence 2.0.
He did get control back.
He did. He didn't escape by luck. He escaped because he reasoned through the panic. He literally forced himself to choose composure.
He realized his fear was basically broadcasting distressed prey to the shark.
Exactly. And that conscious choice, that single moment of emotional regulation, that allowed his body to move again. It enabled him to fight back, using his surfboard as a shield and paddle his way back to safety.
That pivot from being this paralyzed victim of instinct to becoming an active agent of his own survival. That's the entire mission statement of this deep dive, really. We're here to show you how mastering those emotional responses, developing your emotional intelligence, your EQ, it's not just a nice-to-have skill.
It's not a soft skill.
Not at all. It's a vital, trainable asset. Bradberry argues, and I think very convincingly, that EQ is the primary driver for professional success, for personal fulfillment, and maybe most importantly, for navigating the metaphorical sharks that life is always going to throw your way.
So let's talk about the foundational argument Bradberry presents. It's backed by some pretty rigorous research, right?
Over 500,000 people.
A massive sample size.
Yeah.
And it completely challenges this traditional hierarchy we've all been taught to accept, which is that IQ dictates success. We're raised to believe the smartest person in the room, the one with the highest cognitive function, is the one who's going to win.
And that belief, while it's sort of comforting in its simplicity, is just statistically wrong. The data is, it's genuinely startling when you first see it.
Tell us about it.
Well, the book reveals that people who have the highest levels of IQ, they only outperform those with average IQs about 20% of the time.
Only 20%. So 80% of the time, that genius-level intellect doesn't guarantee a better outcome.
Exactly. Think about that. Your raw intelligence only gives you a 1 in 5 advantage.
That's astounding.
Yeah.
But the flip side of that statistic is even more compelling. It really drives the point of the book home.
It does. People with average IQs outperform those with high IQs a staggering 70% of the time.
70%.
70. So this massive disparity, it just strongly suggests that something else is at play. Something far more flexible and far more trainable than sheer cognitive horsepower is actually determining who succeeds.
And that something is EQ.
That something is EQ. Bradberry and his co-author, Gene Greaves, they define emotional intelligence as this cohesive set of skills. It's the ability to first recognize and understand emotions.
Both in yourself and in other people.
Right. And then, this is the critical part, to apply that awareness deliberately to manage your behaviors and your relationships successfully.
The distinction between the two types of intelligence, I think, is just paramount.
Yeah.
IQ it's largely fixed. It's a measure of your cognitive capacity.
Your ability to learn, to process information, to think abstractly.
And you can't really cram for an IQ test and significantly change your score. It is what it is, for the most part.
But EQ, It's a fundamentally different. It is a flexible set of skills. You can continually develop them. You can hone them, improve them over time with focused effort, training, repetition.
So it's not a fixed trait. That's incredibly empowering.
It is. And the book is very explicit that your external personality traits, things like being an introvert or an extrovert, they don't actually predict your level of emotional intelligence.
That's interesting. So you can be a quiet, reflective introvert with incredibly high self-awareness.
Or you can be a highly charismatic extrovert with, frankly, cripplingly low social awareness. The two aren't linked.
So it seems like EQ is sort of the multiplier for your existing skills.
Yep.
You can have all the technical knowledge in the world, the high IQ.
Mm-hmm.
But if you lack the emotional composure, the EQ, to apply it when you're under stress, or to manage the team that's supposed to execute it, then all that knowledge it stays latent. It's ineffective.
Precisely. And the impact of this multiplier on performance and on your earnings is dramatic. It's quantifiable.
What does the data say?
Bradbury states it very clearly. EQ accounts for a huge 58% of job performance across all job types.
58%. So it's the majority factor.
By far. It is the single strongest predictor of leadership potential and personal excellence. It just dwarfs traditional cognitive measures.
And what about the money? When we talk about financial outcomes, the book makes a very direct link.
It's not theoretical. It's almost algorithmic. Every single point increase in your emotional intelligence predicts an annual salary increase of $1,300.
Wow. Okay, so do the math on that.
Right. It means that individuals with high EQ, on average, are earning close to $30,000 more per year than people with low EQ.
So you're essentially leaving thousands of dollars on the table if you neglect these skills.
Absolutely. This moves EQ out of that soft skill category and firmly into the realm of a measurable, concrete financial asset.
Okay, so we've established EQ as foundational for success. But, as critical readers, we have to ask, is it the only factor? Does Bradbury maybe oversimplify this a little?
It's a fair question. Is it always a straight line where more EQ equals more success?
It's an important nuance to address. While Bradbury argues really convincingly for EQ's central role, critics do suggest that success requires a broader cocktail of skills.
Right.
For instance, the source material mentions Carol Dweck's research on mindset and perseverance. If you have high EQ, you can stay calm.
But if you don't have a growth mindset, that willingness to try again after you fail, you might just be a very calm person who accepts defeat gracefully.
Exactly. You're not moving forward.
That's the critical distinction. Perseverance, or grit, relies heavily on emotional resilience, which is a part of EQ for sure, but it also requires a specific cognitive framing, a belief that your effort matters more than your innate talent.
And there's other research that supports this, right? The idea that it's the whole skill set.
Yes. Researchers like Coate and Miners noted that it's a combination of high cognitive ability plus emotional ability that really plays a more pivotal role in career acceleration, not just EQ on its own.
So you need the IQ to identify the problem.
And you need the EQ to lead the difficult charge of actually solving it, absorbing the inevitable stress and setbacks that come with that.
So it's not IQ versus EQ in some kind of zero-sum game.
Not at all. It's about maximizing your EQ so it can act as the essential operating system that allows all your raw cognitive skills to function at their best, especially when the emotional heat is on.
Like when a shark is circling your surfboard.
Or a massive deadline is looming. Same principle.
So to help you, the listener, start developing these skills, Bradbury provides this brilliant, really clear architecture.
He does. He organizes all 66 of the strategies in the book into a framework that's built on 4 specific skills.
And those 4 skills are themselves grouped into 2 overarching competencies. This structure, it shows you the progression of mastery. It's a roadmap.
And the 2 main competencies are very straightforward. First, you have personal competence.
Which is your inner game. It's all focused on you.
Exactly. And second, you have social competence.
Which is your outer game, focusing on your interactions with other people.
And within personal competence, we find 2 skills, self-awareness and self-management.
And within social competence, we get social awareness and relationship management.
It's a very logical progression. You have to know yourself before you can manage yourself.
And you have to be able to read others before you can manage your relationships with them effectively. It all builds. Let's start with the cornerstone then, the absolute foundation. Self-awareness.
This is the fundamental skill. Everything else rests on this. It's your ability to accurately perceive your own emotions in the moment.
And not just in the moment, but also to understand your typical emotional tendencies across different situations.
Right. It's about developing this reflective, unbiased understanding of your own inner landscape, what makes you tick.
And this is where the massive gap is for most of us. Bradbury highlights a deeply troubling statistic.
It's really shocking. Only 36% of people can accurately identify their emotions as they are happening in real time.
That means the vast majority of us are navigating crucial decisions in tense interactions.
With a severe lack of internal data, we're flying blind.
We are. We're reacting to feelings we can't even name, much less understand where they're coming from.
And a lack of awareness basically guarantees emotional mistakes.
The book gives some really vivid examples of this. Dave T., the regional service manager, he's the example of high self-awareness.
Right. He has clear long-term goals. He manages pressure effectively because he knows what his emotional triggers are and he knows how to mitigate them.
Then there's Maria M., the HR manager. She can deliver difficult news with this calm composure and honesty.
Because she understands her own emotional state and can regulate it precisely, she's not getting swept up in the bad news she's delivering.
But then you look at the low self-awareness examples, and they're probably more familiar to us. Kina J., the marketing manager.
She lets her stress dictate all of her interactions.
Yeah, so she's seen as defensive, unapproachable, not because she's a bad person,
but because she's just unaware of how her internal emotional state, the stress that she's probably ignoring, is leaking out externally through her tone of voice, her posture.
Or Giles B., the operations director. He's so narrowly focused on the logistical outcome on the spreadsheet
that he's completely blind to the emotions and reactions of his team.
That kind of tunnel vision just guarantees strained relationships. He never detects the human cost of his focus.
Which brings us naturally to the second half of personal competence. Self-management.
This is the action phase.
Yeah.
This is what you do with that awareness.
Exactly. It's the ability to use that foundational awareness you've established to actively choose what you say and what you do.
It's the regulator. It ensures that your emotional impulses don't just immediately become actions or words you'll later regret.
And the goal of self-management is so crucial for long-term success. It's about putting your momentary needs, your immediate emotional urges, on hold.
So you can pursue larger, more important goals.
Right. It is the core mechanism that prevents those crippling emotional hijackings, like the one Butch Connor experienced in the water.
So if you know what you feel, which is self-awareness,
you can then step back, take a pause, and choose the most effective response. And that is self-management.
Okay, so once you have a handle on your own inner state, you pivot outward. You move to social competence, starting with social awareness.
This is your ability to accurately pick up on the emotions, the moods, and the underlying needs of other people.
So you can understand what's really going on with them beyond just the words they're saying.
Exactly. And this requires intense, intentional observation. We're talking about specific, trainable skills here.
Like what?
Deep, active listening, scanning for nonverbal cues, interpreting body language, posture, those subtle eye movements, micro-expressions.
The focus isn't on what you're going to say next.
Not at all. The focus is completely and totally on the other person.
Social awareness is also about sensing the broader context, isn't it? Getting the mood of the room.
Yes. Recognizing the collective emotional climate of a group. Understanding the unspoken cultural rules that are governing that interaction.
Because if you walk into a meeting and you fail to recognize that there's this palpable tension in the air,
your contribution, no matter how brilliant it is likely to be completely tone-deaf and counterproductive.
Which leads us to the pinnacle skill. The top of the pyramid, relationship management.
This is the executive function of EQ. It is the ability to successfully integrate all three of the skills that came before it.
So your own self-awareness, your self-management, and your social awareness of others.
You bring them all together to manage interactions successfully, to build trust, and to maintain strong, productive relationships over the long term.
The book's example of Gail C., the CFO, really illustrates this integrated mastery.
She's described not just as technically proficient, which you'd expect from a CFO, but as a supportive leader who connects deeply with her people. She uses her emotional radar to read the team and her management skills to provide tailored support where it's needed.
So effective relationship management requires things like open communication, building trust through consistency,
and high-level conflict resolution. It's the successful application of all your EQ skills in the social arena.
We've stressed over and over that EQ is flexible, it's trainable, but what's the underlying science that makes this possible? The book spends some crucial time on this.
It does, and it's because the ability to improve your EQ relies entirely on brain plasticity.
Which is just this magnificent property of the brain. to change its structure, to form new connections throughout your entire life.
This is maybe the most exciting part of all the research. Your brain is not a static organ. It's not set in stone.
And Bradbury uses a fantastic analogy to explain this.
He does.
Yep.
Think of the flow of information between your emotional brain, the limbic system, and your rational brain, the prefrontal cortex. Think of it like traffic on a road.
Okay.
When you constantly react emotionally without thinking, that road is wide. It's a superhighway. It's fast, and it's constantly congested with your impulses.
And when you start practicing a new, more composed EQ skill like, say, pausing before you send that angry email.
You are essentially starting to pave a parallel road, a new road.
And it's slow and bumpy at first. It takes real conscious effort.
But with consistent practice, that new road, the rational pathway, it becomes wider and faster and smoother than the old emotional impulse road.
Yeah.
You start to default to the new path.
And the cellular science, it backs this up vividly, doesn't it?
Oh, absolutely. A single neuron, just one nerve cell, can grow up to 15,000 connections with its neighboring cells when you practice a behavior repeatedly.
15,000.
This repetition strengthens the neural pathways that are responsible for that practiced desired behavior. The constant effort moves the skill from being a clumsy, conscious action
to a smooth, efficient, habitual response that actually bypasses the emotional hijack.
So the science is crystal clear. You can absolutely rebuild your emotional infrastructure.
But this is not a weekend workshop fix. Bradbury is very wise to stress the importance of dedicated, ongoing practice.
Which directly addresses the time needed for those new neural pathways to actually form.
Patience is absolutely key here. And the timeline he gives is really important for managing your expectations.
Lasting, measurable structural change in the brain typically takes several months.
Not a few days.
No. You can expect to see significant measurable improvements in your EQ within about 3 to 6 months of dedicated, consistent effort.
So if you try 3 strategies for a week, and then you quit because you don't feel different,
you've done nothing more than just scratch the pavement on that new road. You haven't built anything yet.
And the mantra for this whole process has to be, expect success, not perfection.
Oh, that's so important. If you demand perfection from yourself while you're in a developmental process,
you're just setting yourself up to fail. One mistake triggers self-criticism and guilt, which are themselves negative emotional states that get in the way of learning.
You have to focus on the volume of practice and recognizing the small wins along the way.
To guide this effort, the book provides a very systematic 6-step action framework. It's designed to prevent you from getting overwhelmed by all this.
It's methodical. You tackle one skill at a time.
So, step 1, assess. You have to establish an objective starting point. Ideally, the book says, you use their emotional intelligence appraisal.
Why is that first step so crucial? Because our own self-perception is, well, it's often flawed.
We tend to rate ourselves highly in areas where we're actually weakest.
Exactly. So objective data points you in the right direction from the start.
Step 2, choose one skill. This is all about hyperfocus.
Right. Don't try to fix your relationship management and your self-awareness at the same time. It's too much.
Pick a single specific skill, maybe the one your appraisal showed as your lowest score, and dedicate all your focus right there.
Step 3, select 3 strategies. The book has 66 powerful, tested strategies.
Don't try to do all of them.
Please don't. Pick just 3 specific, highly actionable strategies that are tailored to that one skill you chose. It's about building a manageable, consistent routine.
Step 4, find an EQ mentor. This is an interesting one.
It's critical. Identify someone who is demonstrably skilled in the specific area you're focusing on, someone who embodies that EQ strength you aspire to have.
And what's their role?
This person provides critical, unbiased, real-world feedback on your practice attempts. You need an external mirror to see internal change accurately.
Step 5, practice regularly. This is the work. This is the repetition that strengthens those neural pathways.
You have to apply those 3 strategies consistently across all sorts of daily situations. Treat every frustrating email, every unexpected conversation as an opportunity to practice.
And finally, step 6, measure progress.
Right. After a few months of consistent work, you reevaluate your EQ, maybe with a second appraisal.
You reflect on the difference between your new scores and where you started. You internalize that success.
And then you use that data to plan the next skill you're going to tackle. It creates this upward spiral of continuous, measurable improvement.
That structured approach is really what transforms the philosophy of EQ into something you can actually do, an actionable blueprint.
It takes it from concept to practice.
So now let's dive into some of the most memorable and high-impact strategies Bradbury recommends for each of those 4 skills. These are the specific nuggets our listeners can apply today.
Great. Let's start with the foundation again. Self-awareness, Chapter 5.
Okay. Since self-awareness is all about the accurate perception of yourself, the first strategy is designed to reframe your internal dialogue.
And that is, quit treating feelings as good or bad.
That's so simple. That's so profound. It's our natural inclination to label feelings. Joy is good, anger is bad.
Right. But if you label anger as strictly bad, you suppress it. And when you suppress it, you lose the valuable information it's trying to give you.
Emotions are data.
Emotions are just data. Anger is telling you a boundary has been violated or an injustice has happened. Accepting them neutrally as they arise actually helps them dissipate faster.
And it lets you understand where they're coming from, rather than just reacting to the heat of the feeling.
A second strategy, which is highly counterintuitive, is to lean into your discomfort.
The fastest way to halt your growth in self-awareness is avoidance.
Absolutely. Bradbury notes that avoiding uncomfortable feelings, even mild ones like confusion or a bit of fear or even just boredom, it protects your ego in the short term, but it keeps you willfully ignorant in the long term.
So if you feel uncomfortable about having a tense conversation,
that discomfort is a giant flashing sign telling you that this is exactly where you need to focus your attention for growth.
And we have to remember to feel your emotions physically. Your body is often the fastest indicator of your emotional state.
It's way ahead of your conscious mind.
Think about that churning stomach you get before a stressful presentation.
Or the sudden tension in your neck and shoulders when you get a demanding email.
Or that tight knot in your chest during a conflict. Noticing these immediate physical signs gives you a few crucial seconds of insight into your emotional state before your rational brain has even registered what the trigger was.
It's an early warning system.
And it's also vital to observe the ripple effect from your emotions. No one exists in a vacuum.
Your internal state inevitably broadcasts outward to everyone around you.
So if you're radiating stress, your team will absorb that stress. If you're calm, that also has an effect.
Recognizing that wider impact, that your unchecked frustration affects relationships, project timelines, morale, that provides a powerful external incentive for you to maintain your internal self-control.
And finally, a classic analytical tool, the journaling tool.
Keeping a journal that's dedicated specifically to your emotional experiences promotes objectivity. The act of writing it down forces you to move the emotion from a volatile feeling swirling inside your head
to a neutral, descriptive observation on a piece of paper.
And over time, this tool reveals your consistent behavioral patterns. It tracks trends. It helps you find the root cause of your recurring emotional challenges. Okay, so once you know what you feel, you move immediately to managing the physical state. And the most accessible physiological strategy is to breathe.
This is a direct biological hack. It's not just some feel-good advice.
Not at all. When you're stressed, most of us engage in the shallow, quick chest breathing, which just makes the fight-or-flight response worse.
And the book advocates for deep, diaphragmatic breathing, belly breathing.
By breathing deeply and slowly, you stimulate the vagus nerve. That nerve sends a signal to your brain that says, the danger is over.
And that shifts your body from the sympathetic, which is the stress system, to the parasympathetic, the calm-down nervous system.
It's an instant chemical regulator. You can do it anywhere.
Next up is a fantastic technique for gaining perspective during decision-making. It's called Create an Emotion versus Reason List.
I love this one. When you're faced with a difficult situation, say you get a negative performance review or a customer complains, you take out a piece of paper.
And on one side, you list your raw emotional impulses.
Defend myself, blame others, quit my job, whatever it is.
And then on the other side, you list the rational thoughts.
Analyze the feedback. Ask for concrete examples. Schedule a follow-up discussion.
This simple act creates clarity. It forces you to see where your immediate emotions are clouding your judgment, and it empowers you to make the rational choice.
And there's wisdom in the classics. Simply count to 10 when anger or frustration strikes.
We sometimes laugh at this, but its function is profoundly important from a neurological standpoint.
It provides a momentary pause, a buffer of space. And that allows the emotional brain, the amygdala, to just cool down enough for the prefrontal cortex to catch up and engage the thinking process.
It moves your response from a volatile impulse to a thoughtful choice.
To sustain action, you need accountability, which is why the book recommends you make your goals public.
Self-management is often about motivation and delaying gratification, which is hard.
Very hard. But when you publicly announce an objective like committing to a new training schedule or getting a professional certification, you leverage the fear of public failure.
Other people's expectations become this powerful external force that propels your consistent, motivated action.
And finally, don't overlook the power of feedback loops, even ones you start externally. Use laughter and smiling.
This uses the facial feedback hypothesis.
Right. The physical act of consciously smiling or even forcing a laugh, whether it feels genuine or not, it sends signals back to your brain.
And those signals trigger the release of mood-enhancing neurotransmitters.
It's a surprisingly effective way to shift your emotional perspective and counteract negative states when they start to spiral.
Okay, so now we move outward. Social awareness. This is all about accurately reading the landscape of other people.
And a really high-leverage strategy that costs you nothing but attention is to greet people by name.
A person's name is the most important word in their vocabulary.
It is. When someone uses your name, especially consistently, it instantly personalizes the interaction. It signals that you recognize them as an individual, not just a transaction or a role.
It demonstrates genuine, focused attention and builds this foundational layer of connection.
Which is essential if you want to have accurate social awareness.
You also need to actively watch body language. We trust what we see so much more than what we hear.
Absolutely. If someone is telling you they are happy with the decision, but their posture is slumped, they're avoiding eye contact, or they're fiddling nervously.
The body language is telling you the deeper truth.
Mastering social awareness requires you to observe these fine details, the microexpressions, the shift in weight, the congruence or lack of it between their words and their actions.
Now, here's a contentious point from the book that directly challenges our modern habits. Don't take notes at meetings.
This one always gets a reaction.
My first thought is, isn't that impractical? How do you reconcile trying to be socially aware with the need for detailed documentation in, say, a high-stakes strategy session?
It's a challenge for sure, but the logic is very sound. When your head is down, you're scribbling on a notepad, or you're distracted by a tablet, you are fundamentally disengaged from the emotional climate of the room.
You miss the critical nonverbal cues.
You miss the subtle eye rolls, the tension that fills the room when a certain topic is raised, or who is tacitly supporting whom through their posture.
So the argument is that the cost of missing the nonverbal truth outweighs the benefit of having perfectly detailed notes.
That's the argument. Prioritize capturing the emotional data in the moment and document the key facts immediately after the meeting.
And to maximize that nonverbal capture, you have to practice the art of listening.
This is not just waiting for your turn to talk. That's what most of us do.
Right. It means focusing entirely on the speaker, their tone, their pace, their body language, and actively resisting the urge to formulate your own response while they're still speaking.
The goal is to fully grasp their intent and their emotional state, which is impossible if you're mentally rehearsing your brilliant reply.
Finally, a powerful empathy practice. Step into their shoes.
When someone expresses a strong emotion, frustration, anger, excitement, you mentally ask yourself, how would I feel if I were in their exact situation, given their background and their constraints?
This empathetic shift helps you gain perspective on their feelings and reactions.
And it deepens your social understanding far beyond just simple surface-level sympathy.
So relationship management, this is where all the inner and outer work comes together into practical success.
The first overarching strategy here is to build trust.
Bradbury calls trust a peculiar resource, which is a brilliant description.
It is, because unlike money, which is depleted when you use it, trust is actually built and reinforced and deepened by consistency and use.
It's cultivated through open communication, through reliability,
and through the gradual, measured sharing of personal experiences to encourage other people to reciprocate.
So every time you deliver on a small promise, you make a significant deposit into that trust account.
And critical to maintaining that trust is making sure your messaging is clear. You have to avoid giving mixed signals.
Because, as we said, people trust body language more than words. You have to ensure your verbal messages and your nonverbal communication are perfectly aligned.
If you say, I completely support this project, but your posture is closed off and your voice is flat,
you create confusion, and confusion is a powerful trust killer.
It's also easy to focus on the big, high-stakes interactions and completely forget the daily maintenance,
which is why the book reminds us to remember the little things that pack a punch.
Simple expressions of courtesy, the timely thank you, the respectful please, and the genuine immediate I'm sorry.
These significantly enhance relationships. They improve morale. They signal to other people that you value them as human beings.
And they often have an impact far beyond the minimal effort they require.
The next strategy requires some advanced self-management. Only get mad on purpose.
Anger should not be your default reaction. It shouldn't be a cathartic release for your own stress.
It needs to be channeled constructively, purposefully.
If you choose to use anger, it has to be timed, measured, and focus on enhancing or repairing the relationship, usually by addressing a necessary boundary violation.
It has to serve a clear, productive function, rather than just creating distance and chaos.
And when conflict inevitably arises, you need repair strategies. The book recommends that when a conversation breaks down or the tension gets too high,
you offer a fix-it statement during a broken conversation.
These are neutral, constructive statements. They're designed to seek common ground and repair the dialogue right there in the moment.
Like saying, this is hard, but I know we can solve it together.
Or even just acknowledging the shared difficulty. I know this is frustrating for both of us. These statements lower the emotional temperature.
And they refocus the effort from fighting each other to solving the problem together. So what we've thoroughly unpacked today from Travis Bradberry's Emotional Intelligence 2.0 is this powerful, actionable message that emotional mastery is not some innate gift you're born with.
It's attainable. It's essential for success. And it relies on mastering that balance between your instinctual feeling and your rational thought.
We established that EQ is flexible, it's trainable through brain plasticity, and it accounts for the majority of job performance.
And it directly correlates with substantial financial rewards. The structured journey moves from that internal mastery, self-awareness, and self-management outward to social competence.
Social awareness and ultimately successful relationship management.
The path forward is structured, and it relies on the science of repetition. Remember, measurable structural change is absolutely possible.
But it requires months of consistent practice to build those strong new neural pathways.
The goal isn't immediate perfection. It's sustained success over time.
The book offers 66 powerful strategies, but the clear call to action for you, the listener, is not to get overwhelmed.
Exactly. Apply that 6-step framework. Pick just one skill to start.
And then choose 3 strategies we discussed today.
Whether it's learning to breathe right when you feel stressed, or observing your physical stress signals, or integrating a fix-it statement during a conflict.
Just pick a few and commit to practicing them daily for the next 3 to 6 months.
And this brings us back to our final provocative thought, which builds on that discussion we had about high performers.
If the research notes that many high-ranking executives often struggle significantly with managing their own emotions and the emotions of their teams,
what does that imply about the journey to the top?
It seems like the blend of IQ and raw technical skill that's required to merely reach the top, the promotions you get based on your brilliant ideas and your technical expertise.
That's a fundamentally different skill set.
From the blend of emotional intelligence required to actually stay there successfully, fulfilled, and effectively leading thousands of people.
Reaching the peak is often about what you know.
But sustaining that excellence and inspiring others, that's entirely about how you manage yourself and the emotional environment that you create around you.
Exactly. Go out there and start paving those new emotional highways.
Yeah.